Tech Yeah Podcast.
So what's up, Bill? How you doing? We're recording at a different time today.
Yeah, we are in the split studios, the Tech Yeah satellite offices.
Yeah, via satellite. This is a true remote, as they call it in the biz.
Yeah, it's
But that's
pretty
nice.
awesome.
I
It's
can have
nice.
Sonic while we're doing
yeah,
it.
it's comfy, and yeah, I'm having a beer. It's pretty good.
Oh, life is good over there. So how's your week? How's your weekend going, actually, now that it's the weekend?
Yeah, it is the actual current weekend, so we're not recording this talking about 4 days ago weekend. The weekend is happening right now. I had a 3-hour flight yesterday with my new CFI, and it was epic and amazing.
In the beach party bonanza?
No, not in the beach party. This was in a new plane, little Cessna 172, and we just went out and, had to keep an eye on the fuel. We were flying around for so long. It was so awesome.
That sounds terrifying.
Yeah, it was good. We did all kinds of stuff. We we got after it. He's a fantastic pilot, so he was like the aviation equivalent of here, hold my beer.
Yeah. He likes to do fun stuff in the airplane, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and it was pretty eye-opening and pretty fun.
Oh, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
Anything else happened? No, my weekend's been going pretty good. I honestly have to quit day drinking. I went to a child's birthday party yesterday, and it wasn't like we got trashed or anything, but like I had a few, I had a couple mimosas, then I had a couple Jamesons. We ate a bunch of tacos. Like, I wasn't really wasted, but man, I came home and just had a crushing headache, and was just like, my day was ruined, and like.
We're getting too old for that kind of stuff, dude.
I feel like I'm way too old for it. And then today I got up and watched Captain Marvel in a matinee. And
Ooh, nice.
I have mixed opinions on it. I think it's fine.
Yeah.
I think my review of that movie would be like, it's fine. It's not bad. I think if you get excited about Marvel movies and you want to know what's going to happen next or whatever, then I think you will like the film. And it's got cool airplane stuff, so you might like it.
Yeah, I did. I've seen some clips of her in the F-15. Looks pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's.
Is it neat. Typical? Is it typical Kevin Feige, like solid storytelling, but kind of down Main Street a little bit?
It's way down Main Street. I feel like a lot of the '90s stuff they lean into is a little. It's almost like they don't lean in hard enough, Like we're Guardians leans so hard into its like music and kind of its goofiness and like silliness. I feel like this was far more timid in its attempts to kind of invoke those feelings, and like some of
X-Men First Class, a little bit.
So kind of, and some of the songs were so on the nose, Like no spoilers, but like she's in like her girl like fight scene, like the climax fight scene, and it plays like I'm Just a Girl from No Doubt, and it's God. like this is pretty, like why this song, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like there's a lot of great songs from the '90s and the late '80s that are like cool chick songs or like kick-ass chick songs. Like this is not, even for like No Doubt songs, like this is not the song you need to pick. And same thing with just kind of some of the stuff around that kind of idea, but I thought it was fine. I thought it was cool. To be fair, like I think a lot of people were complaining about like the kind of social justice feminism aspects of the movie.
That's what I was just going to ask, like how thick did they lay it on?
I'll be honest, I think one of the only like kind of powerful things is like, throughout the movie, this isn't really a spoiler. There's a lot of scenes of her like getting like shut down for not for being a woman, but like you can't do this stuff. Like you're going too fast. Like you need to slow down.
Right.
And there's like a scene where they kind of show like her getting up after those scenes, and I thought that was like powerful imagery. Like you know what I mean? Like it was like this cool kind of like nothing keeps me down. I'm badass. Like.
But they didn't do it in a way where it was like overly like you can't do this because you're a woman. It was more a little bit veiled in like you just can't do this in general and not really picking on her gender.
No, it's pretty bad about that stuff. And that's
Yeah.
what I mean. Until the kind of it pays off, I was
Yeah.
kind of like, oh, this is really thick, you know. But
Do you
but
feel
by the
super
end,
woke now?
no. But by the end, I was into it. I didn't
Yeah.
find it like I didn't find that to be like the off-putting factor of the film.
Okay.
I just thought it was a little boring, and some of the ideas were like some of the jokes were kind of flat, and
Yeah.
you know, it was
Yeah, I
fine.
wonder how much of that was. I mean, they're not obviously trying to make a movie that isn't awesome, but I wonder if they're like, we don't want this to be too good because the crowning jewel of this whole thing is coming out in a couple of months.
Well, I think there's a certain, especially like there's a certain amount of like, if you want to know what the story of Endgame, like you have to watch this movie, and by
Yeah.
the time Endgame comes out, there's going to be no way to see this movie other than watching it in theaters, right?
Right.
Because
Yeah.
Endgame's in 3 months, so this won't be out on streaming platforms or digital or anything at that point. So they very much have the audience by like if you care about the Avengers, you gotta watch this, right?
Yeah.
And so like
Which I dig. I mean, it's a cool strategy. I don't. I mean, it's you can.
it's not unwise.
No. Yeah. I mean, they're in the business of making money, so that's fine, I guess.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just wasn't the hugest fan of the movie. It was a fine
Alright.
movie. I think the ending's cool. I think when we've seen the trailer when she gets all super powered and fighting and
Yeah.
stuff. It's cool, like but it's not.
I'm
not
excited
very
for it.
touching.
I mean, I like these Marvel movies. I've kind of waned on my excitement for each one as they come out, but I'm still excited to watch these. Like, there's still probably the most watchable movies that you can. If you're just like, hey, I just want to watch a movie, I don't really care what it is. If you throw in any of the Kevin Feige Marvel movies from Iron Man on, you're gonna have a good time and you're gonna get stuck watching all of them. Maybe with the exception of Iron Man 2.
Maybe like Thor 2 as well is pretty bad.
I didn't mind
like
Thor.
pre Ragnarok.
Which one was that?
Dark World or whatever.
Oh yeah, that one was kind of Yeah, you're right. Ragnarok was great though.
Ragnarok was great.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty. I'm interested
But
to see it. I just got to find time to go and sit in the seat for a couple hours.
Yeah, so that was my weekend. I've been telling everybody you should go to the drive-in. We got a drive-in by the office, and it's fun to watch movies there.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
that.
All right, so
We got some news.
We got a lot of news going on this week.
Hit me with your Nvidia story. I want to, because you kind of just told me about this,
right.
and I think
So
that's a good place to start.
I just saw this on Twitter a little bit earlier today, and so I looked up a story on Engadget. This is 50 minutes old, so
This is hot off the
news.
press. Yeah.
Hot off the presses.
And as of yesterday, if you're listening to this the day that we upload Tech, on Monday, this happened yesterday. This is current news today.
Yeah, this is a leak right now, so the thought is that this will get confirmed tomorrow. So if you hear this tomorrow, you'll probably just be seeing that this news is coming out. Nvidia joins Intel in bidding war for major Israeli chip maker. The company's called Mellanox, and here's the story from John Fingus at Engadget. Fingus is not a good name. If you needed any further evidence that Nvidia is becoming more of a direct competitor to Intel, you might just have it. A Calcalist source, whatever that means, claimed that Nvidia has made an offer to acquire Mellanox, a chip maker best known for its high-performance computing and network tech. While it's not clear how much Nvidia has been willing to pay, Reuters insiders said that Nvidia could pay more than $7 billion, well past the $6 billion Intel reportedly offered a few months ago. Mellanox and Intel have declined to comment, while Nvidia wasn't available for comment on the weekend. Xilinx, I don't know how to say any of these words, is also believed to be involved in the bidding, but Reuters believe that Nvidia is close enough that it could unveil a deal as soon as March 11th, which would be Monday. While the exact reasons for the potential deal aren't clear, Nvidia would have more than a few incentives to buy Mellanox. some of which you might notice. It could be most helpful for servers, supercomputers, and other situations where you need many processors working in tandem. At the same time, it could also be useful for self-driving cars, or even ensuring fast connection between multiple GPUs and workstations and gaming PCs. For Intel, it'll be more of a defensive play. Intel and Mellanox have both cornered the market for InfiniBand technology used to link computer clusters. This could help keep the technology out of the hands of Nvidia, AMD, and other competitors. It could also help with Nvidia's ambitions as its eyes quantum computing and other technologies that could depend on very fast connections.
Hell yeah, boy.
Yeah, big money, $7 billion.
Yeah.
What I saw earlier on Twitter was more about Nvidia trying to diversify as it's kind of miss with the 20 series GPUs, and their heavy investment on the gaming market is fickle at best. Like, they kind of realize that it's not they won't always own that space, so it was a little more of like a diversification play for Nvidia.
Yeah.
But yeah, super interesting. What do you think about this? What's your first thought?
My first thought is that kind of what you said, that it's interesting that Nvidia is starting to go after different types of computing. Like in January, their market capitalization is $91 billion, so they're a pretty big company, which is a little bit weird considering they're not really out in the public a whole lot. Like if you're not into gaming, you may have never even heard of Nvidia. So it has like a pretty niche, I don't want to say following, but awareness. But it cut its fourth quarter revenue estimate by half, or by $500 million, because weak demand for the 20 series in China, especially, and lower than expected the data center sales, which I'm completely unaware of their data center side of the business.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the dark about their data center side too, which is, I work in the business department. I just don't see a lot of Nvidia product on that side. So, that's
it
why
must be big though.
Sense.
Yeah, it must be big. I mean, if they're a $91 billion company, and the GPU market is all over the place, they must have a substantial amount of revenue elsewhere. So this is, I don't know. I mean, it sounds like it's pretty in the weeds in terms of like technology business stuff. If you're not into like investments and market capitalization and in CPU companies, I mean, like Mellanox, I mean, who the hell is that? And
well, they're a $7 billion company, it sounds like.
Yeah, and like, I don't know. I would want to learn more about what their product is, what their IP looks like, and what Nvidia plans on doing with it. It sounds like some of the leaks are saying that Intel really doesn't care. They just are going to throw $8 billion at Nvidia not getting this, which is kind of I don't know. That's like playing a card, I would guess.
Yeah, well, it seems like because they Microsoft has developed so much into this kind of web-based, connection-based processing, that they kind of want to keep that proprietary, and I can see why. I mean, I think as we go forward and as you see these like the article says quantum computing, but even beyond that, like what Microsoft's doing with like Azure, and even in the gaming space, which I'm kind of more familiar with, like these direct to streaming kind of gaming services. It makes sense that they kind of want to protect that technology. Like, I don't know if you saw, this is kind of a tangent, but they're releasing the next Xbox in the next few months.
Yeah, I did read a little bit about that.
And so it's going to have no disk drive.
Yeah.
And that's basically supposed to be because, because it's going to run a lot of these web-based streamed to your system games. And, that requires a lot of network magic to make that feel far more make the connection feel far faster than it actually is.
I don't know, that seems, I mean, it's inevitable, and it's like who's going to do it first and take a couple of shots on the chin because of it. I just wonder how much money they're saving to take that disk drive out that they can replace with, a couple of terabytes of SSD in there.
Yeah, I don't even think that's what they're going to do. I think their whole goal is to have people not install anything to their local systems and to use these.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean. Like if instead of doing that, just give us like a huge SSD, as like a stopgap. And that's still, I mean, if you put a 2 terabyte SSD in there, it doesn't even have to be an NVMe kind of drive. It could just be, a 6 gigabytes per second SATA.
Yeah.
And just say like, here's 2 terabytes, which should be enough for most people, for, most of the games that they play. And for any of those games that, kind of graduate out of your hard drive library, you can keep them and play them, but it's streaming and, you might have some latency issues or just, like your non-premier games that you're playing at the moment kind of be relegated to your mass online storage.
Yeah, I think 2 terabytes would be, I think it's the size you would want, but I think it's too expensive. I don't think they would put it in because it's, a couple $100 and they're never going to add that to their systems. But I get what you're saying. I do think that their idea, though, is this pure streaming kind of future. I don't necessarily think, I think it works better than people assume, but I also think that it still is not good enough. You know what I mean? I had that Google Play streaming server, or Google, I can't remember what they called it, but Google had a direct streaming service for games where you could play Assassin's Creed, and it actually worked really well. But it's just, not everyone has the connection that can support it. So
that was what I was just gonna say. If you're out in the middle of nowhere, if you're on some farm in Nebraska and you just want to play, FIFA, against the computer or the GTA or something, are you screwed?
Or even if you're in the wrong neighborhood in Los Angeles and you don't have the right internet, and you want to play FIFA against your friend, if you're gonna lose every game because you're a second behind, how's that gonna work?
Or you have an internet outage. Your Time Warner cable internet goes out and you're screaming at the customer service guy. And the guy with the PlayStation next door is playing offline Red Dead.
Yeah, I hear
so I don't know. It's kind of weird, but
it is. It's
I mean,
weird.
It'll inevitably go that way. Just like if you would have told somebody like, "Hey, you watch TV streamed online," people would be like, "That's freaking crazy. That's stupid." Isn't your phone line gonna be? But now it's just kind of commonplace, and you don't see too many people complaining that don't have internet that they can't watch Netflix.
Yeah, I don't know. We were streaming video for a long time. It took a while to get here. You know what I mean?
But not TV. But not as exclusively as people are doing it now. I mean,
but that's what I mean. Like the steps it took to get from, being able to stream video over iTunes to or over Winamp back in the day to full on streaming life was 20 years or 15 years. So. I think that the getting from kind of a rudimentary steps of streaming games to being where we're actually doing that as our primary way of playing on a console, I think we're still so far away from it.
Yeah. It's interesting though. I mean, it will happen. It's like that. I mean, that is what's going to happen, and it's going to be unfortunate to the PC hardware nerds and PC builder enthusiasts that. You're just not going to really have to build a computer anymore.
Yeah, and I think that there will always be a place for it, right? We're so far away from streaming 2K or, high refresh rate games. You know what I mean? Getting 30 frames consistent at 1080 is already going to be such an undertaking with our current infrastructure. That it's so far from kind of being at that premium level that I think people that build PCs are looking for. But yeah, and I think it's gonna be interesting to see the news tomorrow and see kind of where this works out with Nvidia. So If you guys are listening at home and let us know what you think. techyapodcast@gmail.com. We're on Twitter and Facebook. But yeah, I want to hear what you guys have to think about the story and tell us what you think Nvidia is going to do next.
Yeah, I'm curious where this is gonna go, and yeah, I mean it's got to be just machine learning, streaming, big. I mean, like we've been talking about big data stuff. It's got to be along those lines because that's where the money's being made. It's not by guys like you and me buying, the next generation GPU, CPU at $250. It's, health insurance companies and massive data mining companies buying hordes and hordes of data via server stacks for, hundreds of millions of dollars a pop. That's where the money's at.
No, absolutely, and cloud services, and you know what I mean. Like, Amazon money is in AWS. It's not, it's not
right.
it's not in selling paper towels.
Yeah,
and I think that other companies trying to diversify into that. All right, Bill, what do you got? What do you got for us today?
So this is here's a short story. This is a quick one before we go down some maybe longer ones. This is out of Bend, Oregon. This is a New York Post article. This Oregon city will soon have the last blockbuster in the world. This kind of is a little segue from the streaming services. But the Blockbuster store in a city near Central Oregon became the last one in the U.S. last year, and soon it will be the only one in the world. So the Blockbuster store in Perth, Australia, is closing later this month, leaving the Bend, Oregon franchise alone on the planet. Oh, God.
Captain Marvel has a Blockbuster video on it too. Just so you know.
Do they? Yeah. What movie was I watching recently that someone fell through the roof of a Blockbuster?
That's Captain Marvel.
Oh, it is. Oh, that's right. Okay, so that was a teaser.
That was the trailer, yeah.
Trailer from that. That's what it is. Okay.
It's so cheesy. She falls through a Blockbuster, and then she's like, "Where's your communications equipment?" And the guy points over, and there's a Radio Shack next door. And it's like, oh my god. Yeah, it's so OMG. But
now I don't want to go too like nostalgic. I mean, there's reasons why we all do that, but the video store and specifically Blockbuster, that was a big part of my childhood. I'm sure it was yours too.
I loved Blockbuster. Like it was the best. Like there's nothing better than like if something happened and you were like, like your parents were giving you a ride home from somewhere and it was like 4:00 and they're like, "Hey, why don't we pick up some food and go to Blockbuster?" You were just like, "Oh my fuck, this is like, how did this night get so good?"
It's the best. Yeah, dude. Friday pizza and movie night. It's like such great memories.
Especially I could convince them to rent a Nintendo game or something. And I was just like, my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this is so good.
So great. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's funny now because we can look back at it fondly, but if we had to do that now, it would be an absolute disaster. It would be the most painful experience ever.
Yeah,
and, maybe even just for the fact that you have to get in your car and drive somewhere and park and get out and then go browse, and whatever. It's so convenient now, but to be in that kind of physical browsing area, retail merchandised movies and entertainment. It was kind of nice to be, I don't want to say passively, but kind of sold to with the movie posters and the cutouts, and you had the movies playing on the screens in there. It was just, I felt like it did a pretty good job of promoting the movie industry and that kind of entertainment, where now I don't feel like we really have, other than just trailers on YouTube, like a good place where you can get exposed to, whether you like it or not, movies that you didn't know existed or not.
Especially now that Netflix is like all originals. It was nice how Blockbuster, like, I was kind of thinking when you brought it up, and we're talking about going in, it was like, man, I can't believe we used to pick movies based on like the box covers. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you would
Yeah.
just stare at all the box covers and kind of see like, for one, which ones Blockbuster had like a million copies of, because it was like that was obviously the hot movie. And they
Right.
always had the trailers running on the TV, you know, so you'd like kind of see a cool trailer and be like, oh, is that one here? Do they have it in stock? Um, yeah, it was a different time. I remember I used to rent like I rented every Jackie Chan movie. Like I'd go to the kung fu movie section and like start top to bottom. I rented every movie with Jackie Chan in it and watched them. Like that was like one summer or something, you know, because it was like cheap to rent old movies, and yeah, it was just it was a crazy even like process of just kind of walking in and wandering around and being like, ooh, this looks neat, and you know, you'd show the box to your brother or whatever, and he'd be like, this looks stupid. You know, like it was a strange thing.
Yeah, we're so it kind of mirrors our conversation about the dating apps where you never get to experience something that may have flaws in it, that might be beneficial to you, that you might learn from, in some way or enrich you in whatever way. I mean, how many movies did you rent that ended up being total garbage? And because of all the effort you put into going to get that movie and renting it and picking it out, and you drove home and like, well, this is the movie I got. We got to finish it. And, you were kind of forced to sit through it. And, maybe it really did suck and it was a waste of time. Or maybe, halfway through it kind of picks up and, you just made your way through it and you learned what you like, what you didn't like. But now it's so easy to just, click the back button and go find like, yeah, this sucks. Let's watch something else. And you go to another one and this kind of sucks. And it just like everything has to be, and that's why I think movies like Captain Marvel have to be down Main Street, because you're not going to capture anybody and force them to watch your movie because they're just going to bail immediately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no one has patience for mediocrity.
And that was what I think. Something that you may not really think is a positive part about video stores like Blockbuster, but it built movie watching character a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that, and it, because we didn't have so much stuff available, it always inspired me to like watch old things that like I could depend on, even if I knew they weren't like the greatest thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. No more Blockbuster video. No one really gives a crap. See you later.
Well, rip Blockbuster. Bend is a lovely town, so enjoy your time up there. It's very dangerous.
Yeah.
So enjoy that.
Treat the Blockbuster well, Bend.
I'm sorry, all you lovely residents of Perth or whatever country, whatever place you're from.
Oh my God. All right, do you want to hear what irony is? Do you want like a good, people always say like, oh, that's so ironic, and it's just a coincidence.
Yeah, like rain on your wedding day.
Yeah. That whole song, the Alanis Morissette song, I saw some analysis of that where literally everything in that song is not irony.
Yeah. I've seen that before.
And it almost makes it ironic.
Yeah, like the irony of that song is that nothing that they talk about is ironic.
Yes, exactly. So this is irony, and it's really a two-part story here. I'm gonna reference the original story, and then I'm gonna reference a story from the Washington Post that outlines the second half of the story. So MIT, which we all know as a very reputable organization, did this the study on the hipster effect, and it's entitled "The Hipster Effect: Why Anti-Conformists Always End Up Looking the Same," which is pretty funny. And I think any of us that are cynical about hipsters and what a hipster is will recognize that it is funny that they all look the same. Like they're trying
People always call me a hipster.
You've got some hipster qualities, but you're definitely, I would not call you a hipster.
Thanks, Bill. You're a good guy.
Yeah. So you've got the dreadlocks, you got the beanie, you got the beard or the goofy mustache, and the cuffed pants and the plaid shirt. Like, I mean, we know what a hipster looks like now. So this is just the first paragraph, so you can kind of see where they're coming from. You've probably seen this effect. Perhaps you're a victim of it. You feel alienated from mainstream culture and want to make a statement that you are not part of it. You think about wearing different clothes, experimenting with a new hairstyle, or even trying unconventional makeup or grooming products. And yet, when you finally reveal your new look to the world, it turns out you are not alone. Millions of others have made the exact same choices. Indeed, you all look more or less identical, the exact opposite of the countercultural statement you wanted to achieve. So that's the basis of this study. They wanted to dive into the question of why hipsters who are all trying to look different end up all looking the same. Mm-hmm. So the main question of it, how does this kind of synchronization occur? Is it inevitable in modern society that there are ways for people to be genuinely different from the masses? So this is an MIT really heady article about, like the mean hipster choice, and there's graphs and distribution of switching times and stuff. So it's very into the weeds, and essentially what they say is that, like hipsters people that have this drive to look or feel different will gravitate towards something opposite of the masses. And then as that kind of becomes popular beacon for being different or new or something, the masses start to migrate towards that. And then the hipsters kind of regress from that. So that's sort of why you see this like cyclical nature of fashion, that they're constantly just going back and forth and trying to chase or run away from each other.
Yeah, it's always like my joke about like Hot Topic, right? It's like the counterculture you can buy at the mall, It's completely in pop culture, like just entrenched in popularism and what's hot, and it's like, but it's so like trying to put this edgy veneer on it. Like, no, like your mom doesn't want you to have this stuff. It's always so funny.
Yeah, it is. It is very funny. So in this study, they published this. It was like a Reuters AP stock photo of this bearded plaid shirt wearing gentleman walking down the sidewalk. Mm-hmm. So here's the second part of the story that gets really funny. So again, this study was all about how hipsters end up looking the same as one another in trying to look different from everybody else. So this is this is just so good.
You can't just laugh on your own.
I know. Okay, so the Washington Post article, I was just making sure that this headline didn't reveal anything. Hipsters all look the same. Man inadvertently confirms. So this is Megan Flynn wrote this article in response to this MIT article.
Oh, I think I saw this on Twitter. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Dude, it's freaking fantastic.
I just recognized what you were talking about.
Yeah. Okay, so good. I'm glad you know where this is going because it's so good. Let's say you've come across, I'm going to pretty much read this because she does such a good job of laying this down. Let's say you come across a photograph in a magazine of a bearded man walking down a sidewalk in a flannel shirt and a beanie. You're looking really closely at this photo because somehow it looks familiar. So you ask yourself, who is this guy? Is he A, a total stranger, probably a model, B, a caricature or a stock image of a hipster because no one really uses that word non-ironically anymore, or C, you. Oh God, you think it is you. So after your friends and family agree, you promptly decide to write to the editors of the magazine, the MIT Technology Review, where the photograph appeared above an article from last month headlined, "The Hipster Effect, Why Anti-Conformists Always End Up Looking the Same," to complain and threaten to sue them. The use of the photo you assert is slanderous, given the February 28th article's subject matter. It's about how newly published mathematical theory may explain why hipsters, or nonconformists if you prefer, in their eternal quest to defy mainstream trends, end up conforming to a trend themselves. They all just end up looking the same. So again, she's laying the groundwork for, you see this picture, you think it's you, and because the article is saying that hipsters all look the same, you get pissed because it's you in that picture and you don't to be slandered as being grouped as a hipster.
Or like
so
you are just a follower hipster, looks like everybody else.
Yeah.
I'm a unique individual, you know?
Yeah, I am unique. So you begin your February 28th email. You used a heavily edited Getty image of me for your recent bit of clickbait about why hipsters all look the same. It's a poorly written and insulting article, and somewhat ironically about 5 years too late to be desperately relevant as it is attempting to be, by using a tired cultural trope to try to spruce up an otherwise disturbing study. So Gideon Litchfield, editor-in-chief of the MIT Technology Review, recently received the accusatory email that same day, and immediately he launched an investigation, the findings of which came to light this week, the beginning of March here. He started by asking, would his magazine really misuse this bearded man's photograph without his permission and without a Getty image license? No way. His art team would never do that, Gideon thought. As he told the Washington Post in an interview Wednesday, was this even the same guy? The Post is not identifying the man who sent the email, which was provided by Litchfield. And also, had hipster, in quotes, really become such a bad word that you can now sue someone for slander over it, which is a very valid point. It just, that in itself is ridiculous. But still, the core of this potential, lawsuit or threat is that the unauthorized use of your picture in an article, along with the disparaging stuff. So this is Litchfield. My first response was, did we do anything wrong? His next thought is, I also don't think you could be sued for slander for implying somebody's a hipster. So that's the two sides of it. Very, very fair questions to ask yourself. To be fair, when MIT staffers pulled up the man's Facebook page, he really did look like the guy in the picture in the MIT Technology Review's article about lookalike hipsters. But with the threat of legal action dangling in the air, the magazine contacted Getty Images and the legal team before taking action, such as removing the photo. And I don't know if the MIT article was in print or not. It may have been both print and online, but either way, it's still, if it's online, it's really not that difficult to remove a photo, but if it's in print, obviously it's kind of a pain in the butt. Getty Images completed its review Tuesday. Its response was decisive. Definitely just a model, a different bearded beanie-wearing guy. Wow, I stand corrected, the litigious bearded man wrote back to the Technology Review after learning his mistake this week. In other words, Litchfield wrote, in a widely shared Twitter thread on Wednesday, the guy who'd threatened to sue us for misusing his image wasn't the one in the photo. He misidentified himself. All of which just proves the story we ran. Hipsters look so much alike, they can't even tell themselves apart from each other.
I don't even know what to say. I don't even know, I saw this on Twitter and was just like, this is so dumb. This guy, being this, so outraged. How do you not realize that you're walking into that? You know what I mean? How do you not know it's not you? How do you not see the irony in, dude,
it's pretty funny.
If I jump in on this thing that's not me, I'm going to prove exactly what I'm saying is, callous and insensitive. Right?
Dude, it's the funny part is that it's when I was reading this story, there was a stock photo as part of both stories. Mm-hmm. And I was reading both stories imagining the picture in question. And I was picturing kind of like a guy on a sidewalk a little bit further away, and it's kind of hard to tell, or his back might be to you. But the stock picture in this Washington Post recap article is the actual picture, and it is pretty close up. Like, it's waist to the top of his head and full-on profile shot. It's so ridiculous that this guy thought it was him, because it is a picture of somebody. It's the best way to describe it. It's not like, hey, who is that? It's like, here's a picture of somebody. It's that
not abstract or anything. It's just a dude.
It's just, here is a picture of a guy.
That's so funny. What a fucking moron.
It's so stupid, dude. It's so stupid. And it was just, I mean, you know me, I always try, if there's kind of a story that's borderline technology based, try to loop it back into something just so it, is on brand, tech. Yeah.
Oh, is this about to go on? It's about to get on brand?
No, I just thought this was so funny, and I could be like, and because of the computer and Twitter and internet, and we have open idea, like, none of that matters. I don't care if this is connected to technology or not, even though it was from MIT, so technically it's technology, but so freaking great that, I mean, just the best example of irony I could possibly think of.
Yeah, and I think, like, as much as we're about technology, I think that includes, like, tech culture, right? Or, like, like the culture of kind of, like, I don't know. I feel like our age group is like the culture of technology. You know what I mean? And so, so I don't think that I don't feel like we're hard trapped in, like, here is news about microchips. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I think it's fine to branch out of those. It's just like, man, it still boggles my mind, like, how full of outrage, like, how like ingrained in outrage culture you must be to, like, not it's like, like, to not realize you're feeding into and basically proving that article, like, when you just snap to this outrage, right? Like, the only thing better would have been like hipsters look the same and they rush to outrage on, you know what I mean? Like,
and they're litigious.
and they're litigious and rush to play the victim complex, right?
Oh God,
it's that's crazy.
It's
and
so
funny.
crazy.
I'm funny, but
it's really funny. Yeah, I mean, the culture is, everyone's trying to look for some way to differentiate themselves from other people, and just be yourself, and who cares if it's kind of mainstream,
Yeah, that's for sure. Just be yourself, like, whatever that means. And that doesn't mean, like, you can't see something you think is cool and, like, want to do that. Like, I think part of being yourself is, like, identifying, like, what you think is cool or what you like in other people, and being willing to embrace those things, right? Because, I see a lot of people that, like, are so popular stuff, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're so anti whatever is cool that, like, they think that they're not being themselves if they, like, like, do those things they like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not me, but it's like, yeah, well, you're not Walmart t-shirts either, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not like, it's fine, but you need to kind of embrace the things that you like too, otherwise you're not really being true to yourself either. But yeah, that story is, that's, I don't even have a lot to say about it. I think the story kind of speaks for itself.
I know, and that's, I don't, like, there's no hot take off of that. There's no, it's just so good.
Yeah, it's super funny.
It's so good. Yeah, just, like, such outrage and just wanting to be offended all the time, and oh my God. So what, you want to put what the hell is that? Avocado toast. Eat your avocado toast and have your suspenders and go biking, to the farmer's market. Like, that's cool if you're like, if you're into that, that's cool. Like, there's that's your thing. No, like, more power to you, dude. Knock yourself out. It's awesome. Love it. Love you. Keep doing you. But don't do that just because you think that you're being different, and that's your goal, is to just be different,
Yeah, trying to be different is so, it's a noble cause, I guess, right? Like, because when you see people that are truly like different, it is interesting. You know what I mean? Like, they are interesting people, but it's because they do like courageous. I was the word I was going to use, but I don't know if it's really courageous, but sometimes it is. You know what I mean? When people are really willing to be different with their lives and kind of like expose themselves and be extremely vulnerable. You know what I mean? There is nothing courageous about growing a beard and wearing a flannel. You know what I mean? Like that's not where it's at. You know?
No, especially when your like collective goal is to be nonconformist. Like the South Park goth kids. What episode was it? It was the dancing.
Oh, yeah, the dancing.
Remember that?
One. Yeah.
Yeah, like, no, that's lame. I'm not doing that. Yeah, that's really lame. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to conform to your, whatever. And then the fourth kid is like, I'm going to be so nonconformist that I'm not going to conform with you guys, and I am going to do it.
Yeah, like that was yeah. It's yeah. I mean, that's completely like like what it is in a nutshell, though. It's just insanity. It's just circular insanity.
So this is one of my favorite quotes, which I'm not going to be able to attribute because I can't remember who said it. But it is one of the best lines that I've heard in a long time, and it is regarding the internet.
Mm-hmm.
The quote was, "Whose idea was it to allow every stupid person in the world to talk to one another?"
Yeah, no, it's true, but you know how us stupid people are.
Oh my God. It is really true. I mean, that's kind of the core problem with the internet, but it does create some pretty funny things. Have you been on? You're kind of into Reddit, right?
Yeah, I go on Reddit a lot.
Yeah, I am like very, very. I'm a Reddit noob.
Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah, I have like a couple of Reddit posts that I've done like 500 upvotes kind of thing.
That's pretty good.
It's not too bad, right?
It's mostly about airplanes.
It's completely about airplanes, yeah.
Oh,
but Julia and I were looking through the mildly interesting subreddit a little bit. Mm-hmm. Have you seen that?
Which one?
The mildly interesting.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna type it in here. Mildly interesting on my super noisy keyboard. But there are glimmering spots on the internet where you're just like, God, dude, I really, really love the internet. Mm-hmm. Where you can find things that you'd never ever see before, and see people doing things, talents, it's just awesome.
You sound like such an old person right now.
I feel like an old person every time I think that, where like I'll be served a video on YouTube, like recommendations, and I'll watch it and be like, oh my God, that was awesome.
Yeah, you sound
and just be like so happy that we live in a great time. This is amazing.
You're a straight up senior citizen right now. You know that.
I know.
You're like, oh, you guys, have you seen the internet before? It's crazy. All right.
So speaking of the crazy internet and some really deep, dark corners of it.
Oh no.
Yeah, this is a Gizmodo article called "Delete Never: The Digital Hoarders Who Collect Tumblers, Medieval Manuscripts, and Terabytes of Text Files."
What is this?
So,
all right, let's see what this is.
Yeah, so this is really interesting, and this article itself wasn't that interesting to me, but speaking of Reddit, there was a Reddit post that just blew me away with how weird and interesting it was, and I want to get your take on this. So here is the intro to this article. This was completely new to me. So when it comes to their stuff, people often have a hard time letting go. When the object of their obsession are rooms full of clothes or newspapers, it can be unhealthy, even dangerous. But what about a stash that fits on a 10 that fits on 10 5-inch hard drives. Online, you'll find people who use hashtags like hashtag digital hoarder and hang out in the 120,000 subscriber Reddit forum called, our data hoarder subreddit, where they trade tips on building home data servers, share collections of rare files from video game manuals to ambient audio recordings, and discuss the best cloud services for backing up files. So this is kind of weird, but you're just, it's not really grabbing me yet, but this is that, like, who let all the dumb people communicate with each other thing. So they often stereotype hoarders, letting heaps of physical items of questionable utility dominate their homes and lives, often suffer social stigma and anxiety as a result. By contrast, many self-proclaimed digital hoarders say they enjoy their collection, can keep them contained in a relatively small amount of physical space, and often take pleasure in sharing them with other hobbyists or anyone who wants access to the same public data. So it very, at the face of it, it just seems like a very innocuous hobby and just very niche and bizarre, but nothing, harmful, right?
I want to go delete all their files.
just bring a magnet over to their house. Yeah. So data hoarder means to me simply someone who collects and curates digital data, said the user archivist, one of the moderators of the data hoarder subreddit, in a private message on Reddit. It's a little removed from the disorder we usually see from traditional hoarders. So I can see that. I mean, I take some pleasure in, like creating some file structure and putting things away in a clean manner where I can find them before. So I kind of get that. I mean, it's almost like OCD a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. So nothing too crazy. But here's where it's funny, where like sub countercultures splinter, and it just becomes really weird. So this guy is, I believe, another mod in this subreddit, and his username, I mean, it doesn't really matter, but it's 510T Baguettes. And this was, I don't know, this has 2,600 upvotes on it. So the name of his post here, the title of his post is, "Please stop posting pictures of your hard drives." Just like, as soon as I read that, I was like, oh Lord, here we go.
That's so funny.
Yeah, here we go. So, hey, quick reminder. Posting pictures of a bunch of hard drives that you just bought isn't interesting. It's boring, and I'm tired of deleting them all. I'm tired of seeing, am I part of this now, or am I doing this right posts. By the way, that was all one sentence. A lot of comma splices there. It's not because you have 100 terabytes free of storage on your server that you are a data hoarder, and there is no, quote, good way to do this. Data hoarding isn't about just buying $3,000 worth of hard drives just for posting them here. What's interesting is what you do with your storage. If you just have 1 terabyte of storage, but you do something freaking cool with it, what you can share here is always more important than someone buying 30 terabytes of storage and never posting again here. Please focus on what we love, the data, not the storage medium. Please focus on projects, on archiving, on digital preservation. Thanks.
Yeah, Bill. It's not about the media, all right? It's about the projects.
Tony, what the hell is that about?
I don't know. People are weird, man. I mean, I guess I get it. Like, because when I was younger, when I was a young internet nerd, before there were you couldn't stream everything, right? So if you wanted like movies and stuff, you had to have like collections. And I can remember like collecting like all the movies. Like, no matter what it was, I would download the movie, download like box art for it so I could have it in my digital media server, because there was just a time where that was like what you did. And I feel like that this is like an extrapolation of that, where people like, there's just something about having all that stuff, I guess, that, I guess if you cared, I guess if you were into that thing, or, I guess I can see the desire, but it's so weird. Like it's so ineffective now. You know what I mean? When there's like, I'd understand if you were uploading this to some kind of cloud, right? Like a web server, so that like people could have access to it, right? Like I take all the video game manuals and I digitize them and I put them on an Amazon web server and I take donations for it, and and that way everyone has access to everything. But like storing it in your closet in a server rack is just so weird. It's so strange. It's just I don't know,
It's almost like it feels like it's kind of a fetish thing.
I mean, sort of, yeah. I always think of fetishes more of like a sexually gratifying thing, but I could see that. I could see that.
And that's and I don't necessarily mean it as like it's a sexual, like they get like a sexual pleasure from it. But sometimes, I mean, like those like furry things. That's like one of the weirder kind of mainstream fetishes that I can think of. But there's not necessarily an inherent like sexual component to that.
No, it's sexual.
Well, it is, but the actual like I don't know. It seems like people are kind of have a compulsion.
Those furries gif all over each other, bro.
I know, but that response where it's like, don't show pictures of your hard drives. It's about the data. It's about it feels like this subsection of people are almost getting off on like collecting new data, and they get like a jolt of whatever, whether it's like a translated into some like they get massive boners when they find like a new like data feed that they can just like hoard. But it's like that kind of level of specific obsession that is very bizarre.
I think I think it's a human condition, but I think it's more visible now than it probably was in the past. That like, being able to create like a air of superiority over others based on, based on any like subsection you create is such like a common like pathology, you know what I mean? To be like, well, I have a bunch of hard drives, I can kind of do this, or I have access to this file server that other people don't, like I know this guy who's got 900 pictures of Kennedy, like I'll digitize all of them, put them on a file server, and then I'll post on Reddit and people will love me, you know what I mean? Like I think people in general kind of seek out that sort of gratification, and I think that I think what you see in those subreddits is kind of that taken out to the nth level, you know what I mean? Where it's like now there's like tiers of people in that tribe, and it's like, well, now who's the most virtuous of our group, you know what I mean? Like, who does it for the love? Like, who's not here for the for accolades? Who's not here just for the fame? Who's here to really for the data? And,
you hard drive picture posters are not pure of heart.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's where it really comes from, right? Is just this kind of puritanical ideology of like, I'm better than you because X, like, or like I'm superior to non-data hoarders because they just don't get it. Like, I think these people all have faced a lot of rejection and criticism in their past lives and are looking for validation in the data. That's my take.
It's very strange.
Yeah, I think they're not popular with the ladies.
Probably not. And I am, it may be prejudicial to assume that. I mean, I am definitely picturing like a Ken Bone kind of looking guy, downloading.
I'm not even saying like that. I just think because, I think the things that drive even physical hoarders is like a desire for fulfillment, right? Like psychologically, they're seeking some kind of fulfilling endeavor to like complete them or to and I think that's and I just think that's indicative of someone that's maybe lonely or not happy with the relationships they've been in, or didn't feel loved by their parents, or you know what I mean, like it's not the well-adjusted. I feel that, and don't get me wrong. I think if you have a file server and you like collecting all the movies or video game manuals, I think that's fine. I think if you're on Reddit telling other people that their pictures of hard drives make them fake file savers, I think those are two very different people.
Yes, and that is 100% true. Because I have trouble deleting things as well. But there's
I have stacks of hard drives. Like, don't get me wrong, I have terabytes.
Yeah. On
my desk right now, I probably have 6 terabytes of old hard drives that I swap in and save stuff on. So, don't get me wrong. I don't go around telling people that they're not legit data hoarders for any reason.
Yeah, it was so weird when I saw that, or just like, just like exactly like does this have to be a thing that's got a community? Like, I know there's like a group for everybody, but this is just kind of like something most people do on one level or another, and I guess this is just a group of people that take it to an extreme.
Yeah, you better get with the program, buddy.
I guess. And it's like, it's like let's join a we take the garbage out once a week club. It's like
I do that every week.
Every single week. Let's start a club, dude.
All right.
But son of a bitch, if you start posting pictures about you just buying garbage cans, I'm going to ban you.
Yeah, trash bags and trash cans are not...
It's not what it's about. It's about taking the garbage out, not about what fancy garbage can you have.
I don't know. I have some fancy garbage cans. All right, let's wrap this bad boy up, Bill.
That sounds good to me.
You got any last words for these TYPs out there?
Oh, the TYPs. I forgot about that. TYPs, you guys are the best. If you guys are sick of getting robocalls, there is a new app with a 1-year subscription called Call Control. It's $20, and it'll stop from spammers from calling you, which I know we probably all have those, and they are scheduled to be up 46%.
Are you sponsored by this app?
No, I just thought it was interesting. And
all right, because if you're sponsored, you have to cut me in. This is our show,
That's true, yeah. No, this is a non-sponsored spot. I just thought that was it.
You can't just drop commercials.
It was a nice little nice little technology bow to put on the show.
Okay, and for mine, I will say, I don't know, play video games, guys. It's fun. All right, it's a good time. So if you
and for the love of God, stop posting pictures of your damn hard drives, you
stop posting
infantile,
pictures of stupid hard drives. Don't go to Hot Topic. Well, go to Hot Topic. I have a friend that works at Hot Topic. Me and Bill have a mutual friend actually that works there. So you know what? Go to Hot Topic. Buy some pops. All right. And if you want to reach out to us, techyeahpodcast@gmail.com. Techyeahpodcast on Twitter and Facebook. I guess I'm supposed to tell you to leave a like on iTunes or something. I don't really care. I mean, I guess
share the podcast. If you got this far, you must have enjoyed it. Please forward this link to a friend that you think might be interested in podcasts. If they don't know what a podcast is, be very nice and explain it to them, because my mom is now asking me to send her all of the interesting Joe Rogan podcasts, because when she finishes the Tech Yeah for the week, she wants more podcasts. So even if someone doesn't know what a podcast is, that doesn't mean that they won't be interested by a podcast, whether it's this one or another one. So share podcasts. It's a great way for people to learn new things that in a manner in which they normally wouldn't have.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to hit us up. We'd love to hear from you. So just you got the email before. But with that, I love you guys, and we're out of here.
Love you too. Tech yeah.
Tech yeah. We out. Bye.